Hey everyone, it's William Moore. You are watching Beyond the Ties That Bind. Thanks for joining me. I pray that everybody is having as good of a day as you could possibly have living with the tyranny and oppression we now find ourselves living under. I had a decent day, as good of a day as you could possibly have living under tyranny and oppression. Spent the day with my wife. We went to one of the state parks. I was disappointed there was not as many people out as I was hoping to see exercising their freedom. I guess everyone's staying home and hiding behind the government skirt of quarantine. But we did go out. There were some people out there exercising their freedom. It was a beautiful day. We went to a few retailers. Was happy to discover that retailers in some of the smaller towns are not putting their cashiers in plastic bubbles or behind a glass wall. So you could still have kind of a personal relationship with them, as you're checking out. So, you know, overall, it was a fair day, a good day to be with my wife. But as I stated, there's still that cloud, that dark cloud of tyranny hanging over us, which was initiated on March 13th, Friday the 13th, by one Donald J. Trump. You Trump supporters, I'll get to you people, you lemmings, in a few minutes. Um, Want to talk about, we have a small window of opportunity to make a change in this country, and that is only going to be if small businesses do what a friend of mine has done. And he has stood up against the tyranny. He has two of his locations still open, even though the powers that be in the county and municipality he finds himself in wanted him to shut down. He stood up against them. He said, I'm not taking your cease and desist papers. He stood up. He pushed back. And that's what we all need to do. Do not allow these people to bully you. Do not allow government, a fictional entity. It doesn't matter that they have pretty shiny badges. It doesn't matter that they have titles in front of their names. They are a fiction. A fiction. You only give, it is only your mind which gives them power. When you submit to them, that's when you give them power. When you stand against them, you have authority over them. When you stand for freedom, you have authority over them. The second you back down, you give them that authority over you. My friend, I'm proud to call him my friend. He stood up to them. The health department came to one of his locations and he said, hey, we're going to lawyer up. And he is lawyering up in other situations. So the health department, they said, well, can you at least send us an email outlining what you're doing as far as your sanitation practices here? He said, consider it done. So two of his establishments remain open to this day. Now he's getting people calling 911. Of course, the little sheep who are afraid of their shadow. People calling 911 on him, saying that, by him being open, they're in danger. First of all, you people who believe there's a virus, that's all you can do. All you can do is believe there's a virus. You don't know there's a virus. You don't know that the government's not lying to you. You don't know that the mainstream media is not lying to you. You cannot say, within yourself for a fact that you know there is anything known as COVID-19. First of all, in one of the previous programs, we went over how the test cannot identify a specific strain of coronavirus. They cannot identify a specific strain of COVID-19. The test can only detect if you have virus within you. Everyone has virus within you and you have viral load. So they cannot identify COVID-19. They can only say that you have virus. Plus, they cannot detect mutations of the virus within you, so they cannot say whether you are ill or going to become ill. So you people who believe what the government is telling you and believe what mainstream media is telling you, and believe what Bill Gates is telling you, and believe what Anthony Fauci is telling you, you can only do that. You can only believe. You cannot know. But I do know this. COVID-19 is the biggest fraud and false flag perpetrated upon the American people that there ever has been and probably ever will be. Besides maybe Donald Trump. but he led to this. So I'm going to quote one of my heroes, Samuel Adams. Samuel Adams, he was a proto-anarchist. Some people judge him and say that he was a violent man. Yes, he was a violent man, but he lived 200 years ago, and none of us know the conditions he was living under. None of us know if his violence was an act of self-defense against those who were seeking to oppress him. So this man stands as a hero to me, and this is his quote: "If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that ye were our countrymen." And that's going out to each and every Donald Trump supporter that may be watching this. Look, people, he is a Rothschild puppet. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who hangs out with Bill Gates, who's a friend of the Rockefellers, who are very close associates with the Rothschilds. He's on his cabinet. He was picked by Trump. Wilbur Ross worked for Rothschild Inc. Stephen Mnuchin, who used to work and is still good friends with, guess who? George Soros, who's a good, close personal friend of the Rothschild family. Then you have Deborah Birx, you have Mike Pence. The list goes on and on. Mike Pompeo. He picked these people. A lot of people say, well, these people are fighting against him, man. They're coming against him. And he's trying to fight back, but they're fighting against him. Hey, he picked the people to be on his cabinet. This is his administration. So this means either that he is a puppet and he was told to choose these people, or he's just part of it and he's going right along with it. And this is all political theater for you lemmings to buy into. Trump has you fooled. And you cannot be a Trump supporter and a supporter of freedom at the same time. Trump and freedom cannot coexist. If you are a Trump supporter, you are a slave. You don't believe in freedom. You don't know what freedom is if you're a Trump supporter. You can't believe in freedom if you're a Trump supporter. You know why? Because he signed a $6.2 trillion stimulus package, which puts you, your children, your children's children, and their children in debt. And that's besides all of the debt that was accumulated in the first 3 years of his administration. Now there's another $2 to $2.5 trillion stimulus package on the table for the infrastructure. So that's $8.2 to $8.7 trillion right there. This is going to cause hyperinflation, and you Trump supporters don't see this. You love your $1,200 stimulus check and your extra $600 a week for unemployment. And I am not knocking anybody that is, unemployed that is getting that money. But people who are still supporting Trump, wake up. There is no way that you can believe in freedom and prosperity and be a supporter of Donald Trump at the same time, because I guarantee all of that money that you're collecting, all of that money that you're taking in, it's going to cost you so much more than what you're getting. Just the $6.2 trillion package is going to cost each taxpayer $46,000 apiece. Back when I was growing up, my mom didn't have to work. A lot of the women in the neighborhood in which I was growing up in didn't have to work. They were one-income families, and they made it by just fine. Then we had Ronald Reagan come in and all of his socialistic BS. And then you had people to where families had two people working. And then you go to Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. Now you've got one person with two jobs and another person possibly with two jobs just to make ends meet in a family. This $8 trillion package, and who knows how much more is going to be piled onto that, is going to cost a lot more. How many jobs? How many hours a day can you people work? People can't do this. So, Trump supporters, wake up. The man works for Mr. Rothschild. Bill Gates is controlling the policy. He's dictating the policy coming out of the Trump administration through Dr. Fauci. Wake up. Trump's not going to get rid of him. Just because he tweets something out about firing Fauci doesn't mean that he's firing him. That's political theater to keep the lemmings entertained. Wake up, people, because if you love your wealth, the wealth that you think you have, or if you love Trump and this ideal, this Republican ideal, which really isn't an ideal other than slavery and debt, if you love if you love wealth better than that, liberty and freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that ye were our countrymen. A lot of people are going to be in Jefferson City tomorrow protesting. I am not going to be joining in a rally that's going to turn into a Trump rally, and I'm not going to go and protest government. When you protest, all you're doing is you're saying, I'm your slave. Please give me back something that you took from me. Free men don't ask permission. Free men just open their business. Free men go to their employer and say, look, I'm going to lay out for you why we need to open back up. It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for everyone in our community that this business is open. Free men don't ask other people who seek to govern permission to do things. They seek to govern, and by seeking to govern, they're seeking to be your master. And if you let them be your master, that means you're their slave. So I'm not going to join with a bunch of people, a bunch of slaves who are begging a governor to give back to them something that he took away. And really, if you read the governor's order, it's not the governor that's doing this, because the governor said that in the state of Missouri anyway, non-essential businesses, but all businesses are essential, people. All businesses are essential. Don't say any business is unessential, because that business pays the bills and contributes to the economy of someone in your community. But he states that all businesses can stay open. They have to follow certain guidelines. And I want to get into in one broadcast how the CDC is not a government agency, it's a pharmaceutical company. So you don't have to follow their guidelines. It'd be like going into Burger King saying, I got to follow McDonald's guidelines when I'm in here. It's a corporation. Just like the United States government is a corporation. You're following along with a corporation, the dictates of a corporation. Anyway, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to go beg for my freedom. I'm going to take my freedom. And I'm going to fight anybody who tries to take my freedom from me. And I know that most of the people watching this will do the same. You know, what's going to be funny, and I'm going to be laughing. You got a lot of teachers out here I see on different Facebook pages talking about, oh, people got to stay home. People got to quarantine. You know, a lot of you teachers' jobs are going to be on the block because taxes are not being paid right now. And there's going to be a lot of people selling their homes, and they're no longer going to be paying their real estate taxes and personal property taxes. And I already heard it through the grapevine for my community, in my community, my area. One of the, he's a police officer, and he stated that they're already talking about cuts in pay and cuts to personnel in the local school district. So it's going to come back to bite a lot of you people in the rear end. So you Trump supporters, you need to wake up, need to quit being such lemmings, need to quit following along this Donald Trump, who is nothing more than he's a Judas goat. Vladimir Lenin said it best when he stated, the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. And that's what they're doing with Donald Trump. I think that the Democratic Party may replace Joe Biden, because I know Joe Biden cannot win against Donald Trump. And if that's the case, then Donald Trump is the chosen one. And I'm going to get into why he's the chosen one then in a few minutes. But I still think the Democratic Party is going to try and sneak Hillary in there some way, shape, or form, somehow. And if they do, then it's game over, because Hillary will become president. She will beat Donald Trump like somebody beating a dog. But if it's Biden and he runs against Trump, Trump will win. And that just means that they're using Trump to control the opposition. As Vladimir Lenin said, the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. And that's what they're doing, because Republicans right now, if this was Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton that would have declared this state of emergency on Friday the 13th, 2020, last month, if this would have been Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton that did this, the Trump supporters, Republicans, would be up in arms saying, "Oh, this is tyranny, this is oppression." But because Donald Trump did it, your guy, he's wearing the R on his jersey. Oh, it's okay. He's fighting against them somehow. He's got our back. Yeah, right. He's a Rothschild puppet. The man signed a $6.2 trillion debt package to make you and your children, children's children, children's children, and their children debt slaves. And he's got more. He's going to pile more onto it. Plus, he's accumulated, quite a bit of debt in the 3 years prior. So, people need to wake up. Donald Trump is not a savior. He's not a good guy. Freedom and freedom and supporting Donald Trump cannot coexist. You people who think you can support Donald Trump and believe in freedom, you don't believe in freedom. You don't know what freedom's all about, because you're choosing to be somebody's slave. So, we've got businesses, hopefully, that are going to reopen by themselves, do what Freeman do this week. We've got a small window of opportunity to turn this thing around. However, at the same time, the government's up to something. They have an agenda. I believe that they're kind of, putting a carrot out there that we're going to reopen, but they're actually going to keep things closed down for a lot longer. May 3rd in the state of Missouri will get here, and the next thing you know, the governor say we're going to extend it to June. However, the state of Missouri, Governor Parsons' state of emergency order, his stay-at-home order, whatever you want to call it, states that non-essential businesses can stay open. So it's the locals. It's people like Bob Dixon, King Bob Dixon down there in Greene County. It's people like Linda Crewson, St. Louis mayor. It's people like the commissioner of St. Louis County that are doing this. People in the city of Aurora. And then you have the little lemmings who call 911 and say, "Oh, this business is open. They shouldn't be open." Look, if they're open, just don't go in. Don't patronize the business. It's, but they have the freedom to be open. You are not their master. You're not their master, Mr. Neighbor, Mrs. Neighbor. You're not their master, and you're not doing anything good for the community. You can't prove there's a coronavirus. You can't prove that there is a COVID-19. You cannot prove it. Previous program, the tests are faulty. They cannot specifically identify COVID-19. You people who are believing the government and believing the media, that's all you can do is believe there is a virus that goes by the name of COVID-19 or a coronavirus. You do not know there is a coronavirus. You are just believing what the government tells you and what the mainstream media tells you, because there are a lot of health professionals coming out now saying the exact opposite of what the government is telling you and what the mainstream media is telling you. So you cannot know beyond a shadow of a doubt that a COVID-19 even exists. You can only believe it does. See, that's how brainwashing works. You can believe it. See, and I can know that COVID-19 is nothing more than a fraud and a scam. Why? Because there's an agenda. Why? Because we've never shut down anything for a seasonal flu before. Why? Because the test cannot identify a COVID-19 virus. There's viruses in your body all the time. Guess what? They're there. The tests that they're using cannot tell you whether or not a virus is mutating. They cannot tell you whether that virus will make you ill or if you are ill from that virus now. There's such thing known as viral load. It cannot detect any of that. Yet You're told something on the mainstream media, you're told something by the government, and you believe it. You're told something by Donald Trump, and you believe it. I get a kick out of these people who support Donald Trump blindly, never even met the man, never even read his book, The Art of the Deal, to see who the true Donald J. Trump is. Don't look at the policies of the man to see that they mirror policies of Bill Clinton. Nobody does any research anymore. And that's why sometimes I think, hey, you know what? Don't bother telling people anything about this, because everybody in America is going to get what they deserve for not doing the research, for being a part of the cult of personality. And that's what Donald Trump supporters are. They're in a cult of personality. They're a part of that Donald Trump cult of personality. They suffer from cognitive dissonance. They don't know how to think critically. Absolutely insane what's going on. So, you know, a lot of people will say, well, in the election, the coming election, and we're going to hear this crap again. Oh, the coming election, this is the most important election in our lifetime. We hear that every 4 years. I mean, it's absolute crazy. Well, I know he's not a great guy, but you got to vote for the lesser of two evils. No, because the lesser of two evils is still evil. And all you have is evil. You don't have a lesser of two evils. You have evil and you have freedom. So you either choose evil by voting, or you choose freedom by not being a part of the United States corporation. I'm going to read a quote by another great man, Frederick Bastiat. And this quote, this just spells it out. It's where we're at right now. And, well, I'm just going to go to the quote. If the natural tendencies of mankind are so bad that it is not safe to permit people to be free, how is it that the tendencies of these organizers are always good? Do not the legislatures and their appointed agents also belong to the human race? Or do they believe that they themselves are made of a finer clay than the rest of mankind? So, people, rulers, governors will say the natural tendencies of mankind are so bad that it's not safe to permit people to be free. And other people will actually say that. They'll say, we need a government. I need somebody to control me. My natural tendencies are so bad that I can't be free. I've talked to people like that believe that you need a government, that need somebody to control you, that you need to be somebody's slave. I talk to people, they believe that they need to be somebody's slave. So, but they don't realize that these organizers, these legislatures, are people just like them. And the problem lies within the fact that the legislatures, people like King Bob Dixon down in Springfield, Missouri, Greene County, they believe that they're cut from a finer clay than the rest of mankind. So they have a right to rule over you because they're cut from a finer clay. Linda Crewson, St. Louis mayor, she's cut from a finer clay. You know what? I do not believe in government, but I'll have to hand it to the governor of South Dakota. She is one hell of a lady. She will not put her state under lockdown or issue a stay-at-home order because she believes in freedom. And she believes that people can govern themselves and exercise personal responsibility and take care of themselves. And if they're scared, they can stay in their house. And if they want to live, they can live without outside of the four walls of their home. A virus does not take away freedom. Not at all. Nobody can take you. I don't care. The worst virus of all is government. The worst virus of all is people who believe that they need to be governed. It's not so much the Hitler. It's not so much the Barack Obama. It's not so much the Stalin. It's the people who follow them. So, what I want to go into real quick, though, and I believe we have a very short window, a very small window of opportunity to turn this thing around. Hopefully we can turn this thing around very soon. The small window of opportunity. and businesses will open back up because there's an agenda, and I don't believe the government is through. I believe that they're going to extend these stay-at-home orders throughout the month of May into June, and I believe that there's going to be some more restrictions come down. I believe that there is an agenda because first of all you have lies, and if they're lying like this and pumping up the numbers and lying about the numbers, the COVID-19 numbers, because you do not see a increase in the death rate at all, you see a decline in the death rate. If you had a pandemic, you would look for an increase in the death rate, and you would see an increase in the death rate. That's what you would find. So we see the death rate decreasing, but these COVID-19 numbers being pumped up, while pneumonia has disappeared completely, and tuberculosis and other diseases, they disappeared completely from the radar, but COVID-19's there. That's how you know there's an agenda. So I think that they're not done yet. Plus, you're going to have 10 million more people file for unemployment. There is going to be civil disobedience. There's going to be civil uprisings. They cannot continue to print out all this money and continue to feed people and continue to have people stay at home and let the economy fold without people finally waking up. But the problem is people are going to just protest. The only protest, well, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, I'm reading from a Newsweek article, also reading from a publication known as Nation and State. An ultra-secret military task force is preparing to secure and possibly evacuate the entire Washington, D.C. area along with the U.S. Capitol ahead of a major upcoming event unbeknownst to the general public at this time. A Newsweek exclusive report released on Wednesday reveals how a little-known military task force charged with evacuating Washington has already been activated. A task force charged with most sensitive government mission: securing Washington in the face of attackers, foreign and domestic, and if necessary, moving White House and other key government personnel to alternate locations. According to the report, the Joint Task Force National Capital Region was activated on Wednesday, 1 month after President Trump declared a national emergency under the guise of the invisible enemy known as COVID-19. The ultra-secret team has been ordered to defend at all costs the capital city, waterfront, land, and airspace from whatever top military strategists within the U.S. government know is arriving or think is arriving. So the Newsweek article reports ever since National Guard started to activate countrywide, Pentagon officials have insisted that men and women in uniform are not conducting secret missions and that they will not administer or enforce stay-at-home quarantines. The Pentagon has also rejected reports, including articles in Newsweek, about martial law or other extreme contingency plans, arguing that the Guard remains under strict control of state governors while federal troops support civil agencies like FEMA. And yet the activation of Joint Task Force National Capital Region, including almost 10,000 ununiformed personnel to carry out its special orders, contradicts those assurances. JTF NCR is not only real and operating, reporting directly to the Secretary of Defense for some of its mission, but some of its units are already on 24/7 alert, specifically sequestered on military bases and kept out of coronavirus support duties to ensure their readiness. So, and then another thing, you have hospitals that are completely empty. So there's an agenda, whether it's mandatory testing, whether it is mandatory vaccination coming up that people are going to, rebel against. We don't know, but something is up. There is an agenda, and they're getting ready to carry out something because they're worried about something taking place in Washington, D.C. Maybe some sort of civil uprising to where they have to clear out people. And I will leave the link of the Newsweek article in the description. You can look it up yourself and read it yourself if you doubt it. I also, real quick, a friend of mine posted on his Facebook page today something by Lifekey. Now, when I went to the Lifekey site at first, I found the page to be intact, But as more and more people started sharing this and started talking about what Lifekey was all about, you now go to their page and it says 404 page not found. The page you were looking for does not exist. Imagine that. Now, why were people sharing this information about Lifekey? Why were people getting so upset? Because Lifekey was selling something called the COVID-19 Immunity Band. We're working around the clock to bring healthcare providers and consumers an innovative tool to help us get back to life after the quarantine. Notice they didn't say life is normal. Lifekey Immunity Bands help people get back to work, travel, and daily life by enabling easy, contactless sharing of up-to-date COVID-19 immunity status. By simply tapping the smart wristband with the smartphone, business operators and employers can instantly see whether a patron or employee is cleared for entry by a registered U.S. physician who has vaccinated and or tested the person for COVID-19 or its antibodies. With Lifekey, airlines and their passengers could know if everyone on a plane has been tested and cleared by their doctor. Employers can give employees confidence that their coworkers have been tested and cleared. Lifekey, because, everybody's going to believe there's a virus. They don't know there's a virus, but they're going to believe there's a virus because Donald Trump and the rest of the government and all these people on mainstream media tell you there's one. You believe it, but you don't know it. So anyway, everybody's going to feel so secure because Lifekey is working to solve these challenges and more in a post-quarantine economy. If you can help us achieve this goal, please view our one sheet and contact us by email. hello@lifekey.co. More like 1984 at Lifekey. So you have a contactless Lifekey immunity band. And 3, maybe most important, we begin to see large numbers of people, and particularly nurses, home health care providers, doctors, policemen, firemen, teachers who have had the disease are immune. And we have tested them to know that they are not infectious any longer. And we have a system that identifies them, either a concert wristband or a card with their photograph or some kind of stamp on it. Then we can be comfortable sending our children back to school because we know their teacher is not infectious. Actually, their teacher is infectious. Their teacher teaches that you must pledge allegiance to a silly piece of cloth and you must obey your government masters. So she's infected with statism. So anyway, I'm going to leave the links to the Lifekey. I'm also going to try and post the pictures of these websites, going to try and go in and edit some of this in a little bit and show you what I'm talking about with these websites, and then how they pulled the website, they pulled the page once people started talking about it. I'm sure the government came in and said, whoa, 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 let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's not let them know too much information. So I want to close by reading another one of my heroes, one of his quotes, and that's Lysander Spooner. And if you don't comply with these orders, whether it's testing, whether it's vaccination, they're going to threaten force to get you to comply. And Lysander said the only idea they have ever manifested as to what is a government of consent is this: that it is one to which everybody must consent or be shot. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to be, if you're like me and you're going to stand up for your freedom and you won't take this vaccination, you're going to be shot. They're going to use coercion, threat of force. So right now we find ourselves in a very, it's a situation unlike any other. We have the stock market, which is not an indicator of the economy anyway, not a barometer of the economy. Anybody thinks the stock market's a barometer of the economy does not know economics at all. Does not know that the Federal Reserve is purchasing securities at $125 billion a day. Does not see any correlation between unemployment and the stock market, where if unemployment goes up in a stock market that is not manipulated, when unemployment goes up, especially at such extreme rates, that the stock market would go down if it's not being manipulated, if it's not a fraud, which it is being manipulated and it is a fraud. But anyway, right now you got people calling on one another. You've got this majority of people trying to shame other people into staying home, into following these Gestapo-like orders. You've got these people hiding behind the government skirt. Um, and you know, it's that whole majority over minority. People who are wanting to exercise their freedoms, people who are wanting to live, not live in fear, are being shamed, being called upon, being told to social distance or we're going to turn you in. I got something for you to turn in. Anyway, Lysander Spooner said to say that majorities, as such, have a right to rule minorities is equivalent to saying that minorities have and ought to have no rights except such as majorities please to allow them. And I'm never going to go for that. And I hope that there's a lot of people who don't go for that. Because, first of all, your freedoms, they don't come from people. They come from the Creator. Your freedoms, you're born free. It is whether or not you choose to submit to a tyrant that will determine whether or not you are a true free man. Because there were a lot of true freemen who died in the First War of Independence. It was not a revolution. First War of Independence. And so many free men. The greatest army that ever walked American soil, the Confederate Army of the Confederate States of America, baby. The greatest army to ever rise up and take arms on American soil. They fought, many of them died, but they died as freemen because they were not going to submit to the tyranny of the United States government and that ape, Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, people, it's going to be a big week. We've got unemployment numbers coming out. We've got, fitness centers closing down, Gold's Gym filing for bankruptcy, JCPenney, Neiman Marcus, 24-hour fitness filing for bankruptcy. They say now that over 30,000 small businesses will never open again. So the rest of you that are out there, unless you want to be put in the same predicament and never open up again, you better take a stand and do what free men do. Don't ask permission, just do it. And when they come to you and they got their shiny little badges and they're wearing their cute little uniforms, you stand up to them and push back because you have the authority to do so. And if they push back, you push back harder. And you stand your ground. You don't take cease and desist papers. Because they know that even according to their own law, and as I stated, the Constitution, and Lysander Spooner even stated, as far as the Constitution is concerned, that whether the Constitution really be one thing or another, this much is certain, that it has either authorized such a government as we have had and do have, or has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it is unfit to exist. But use their own law back against them because they don't have the authority, according to even their own law, to shut you down. So anyway, going to be an interesting week ahead. Everybody, those that tune in, that want to hear the truth, that want to know what's going on, that you might not believe like me 100%, but we've got 70% in common, whatever. People who love freedom. I love you all. The spies, the Trump supporters, nope. You are my enemy. You are trying to steal my freedom. And if I don't have freedom, guess what? I don't have anything. And a lot of people say, oh, your freedoms are more important than other people. Yes. Yes, they are. My freedoms are more important than the life of any other person out there. And freedom is more important than my life. A lot of people go around and they want to celebrate all these 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and honor the men who died for your freedom. Well, right now you're kind of spitting in their face because you don't believe in freedom. You believe in tyranny. You believe in oppression. You believe in dictating what others do. Those type of people I have no use for. But those who are seeking the truth, who want to hear what's going on, who want to hear what I have to say, I appreciate and love each and every one of you. And it's going to be a wild week, and I will see you soon. This is William Moore for Beyond the Ties That Bind. Peace.